Hello, my name is Shanmughalingam, or Shan for short. Since I write short stories, I'm the author of Marriage and Mutton Curry. I'm delighted it's most timely since the book starts with British Malaya. Here's Peter Carey's comment on the book. My stories are fiction based on fact. The Barefoot Man from Malaya, for example, is based on an evocative line my mother said to me. When your father came to propose to me, he came barefoot. Commonwealth literature includes many great writers of Asian ethnicity who wrote in English. So some of the context should be familiar to readers of world literature. Tash Aw, Malaysian superstar writer, gave me great tips when I put this collection together. The UK's multi-ethnic, multicultural fabric gives me much optimism. India and Africa have dominated ideas about the British Empire. Sadly, Southeast Asia has been underrepresented in British imperial history. It's rewarding to me to see my particular corner of the Commonwealth joining the voices of the Empire writing back. Hence, I hope that some of this collection will be a pleasant surprise to some readers. Why was British influence still strong after independence in Malaya? This book offers some clues on the answers. My secondary education and my happiest 7 years were at the Victoria Institution. The very first story in the book is Victoria and her kimono. Many of the stories draw upon our historical past, including the civil service. Just as I loved the diversity there, so I hope readers would like the spread in my book. I am from this community. The Jaffna Tamils came from British Ceylon on the strength of a 3-word cable. Work arranged, come! My childhood was spent in the community of linked government quarters I write about. I lived in the corner lot of the linked houses. The thin walls and loud neighbors gave me much material to draw upon. Perhaps the best answer to this question is in the royal foreword to the book written by His Royal Highness Sultan Nazrin Shah, the Sultan of Perak State and Deputy King of Malaysia. He wrote, "This small diasporic community has always punched well above its weight in Malaysia and beyond, producing the first education minister, 2 deputy prime ministers in Singapore, and countless highly regarded professionals." But while the stories appear on the surface to be about the Jaffna Tamil community, the insights they provide on the human condition go well beyond the experiences of any one ethnic group. I chose a small part of the Malaysian community that are underrepresented, yet rich in humor and specific cultural norms like marriage and food, which offer fertile ground for stories. My economics professor, Uncle Aziz, told me, "We need economists now. Literature and history you can study later at your own leisure." It was a hard personal choice between doing what was my deep love of literature and what was in my country's best interest at a defining moment when Malaysia was being formed with the merger of Peninsular Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore. I hoped that I could continue writing on my own time. That proved difficult with the pressure of working in that most busy of ministries, the treasury in the Ministry of Finance. However, it offered characters and incidents that could be turned into complete stories and often the most humorous. For example, the visit by the World Bank director in the story Money Man. This particular story made even our longest serving and most serious of Prime Ministers, Tun Dr. Mahathir, smile. A non-frequent event. Not at all. While accolades gave me a boost, I would have continued without them. I had many lines of dialogue and characters waiting to jump onto paper. Writing was something I just felt I had to do. Recognized or not, at school, English literature was flooded with fog, snow, strawberries, and cream. From an early age, I wondered what it would be like if my stories are about my mother's delicious biryani. Writing is a predisposition that I had. There are many quotes about this from Keats. If writing comes not as naturally as leaves to a tree, it had better not come at all. Quite an honor. The recognition of my early work with the award of the second prize by an outstanding writer, and a husband, Bailey, who was himself a child of empire, born in what was then British India. There were also some parallels between our lives. For example, Iris Murdoch once worked at the British Treasury, so perhaps she recognized some of the types you find in such places. The interactions were not only with them. Here's Andrew Graham with his lovely wife Peggotty. He's the son of Winston, author of the popular Poldark's TV series. Another Andrew, Sir Andrew Motion, ex-poet laureate, used to show me his poetry manuscripts while he was at University College. Unexpectedly, one of my poems landed in the same space as 3 Nobel Prize winners in the collection New Voices of the Commonwealth, edited by Howard Sargent and published in London. 5 poems first published in Oxford won the Balliol Poetry Prize. One story in this collection was the sole winner of the British Council short story competition. So you think you can write? On other links with the UK, I sat on the selection board of the Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford. I read my work at international events such as the major seminar Meet the Contemporary British Writer at Cambridge University, the other place, along with writers such as Doris Lessing, Muriel Spark, David Lodge, and poet Sean O'Brien. Its launch by His Royal Highness Sultan Nazrin Shah at the Kuala Lumpur Literary Festival in October 2018 was most auspicious. It's now in its 5th printing. It was a bestseller for MPH, the major bookstore in Malaysia, which is incredibly reassuring for me. The readership for fiction in English is not very large, especially compared to our neighbour Singapore. Reviews have been mostly positive. Critics see much humour in many of the stories, with darkness and sadness in some of the others. I've received many invitations to give dramatized performance readings at universities, colleges, schools, bookstores, and readers' groups. So overall, the response has been better than I could have ever expected. I believe the stories deal with issues which are common to people wherever we may be. Often the cover, the title, or the mention of a delicious dish may pique interest. Sometimes we do judge a book by its cover. My publisher, Edmund Wee, has done an awesome job in making people want to pick the book up to start with. It's then my role to make people want to stay with the stories. Just as chicken tikka masala is as popular as fish and chips in the UK, so I hope that many readers will acquire a taste for Malaysian mutton curry to take away or to be delivered to your doorstep piping hot. I hope that the collection will appeal to people who like to complete one story at a single sitting. I'm hoping that a small part of that success will continue into the UK.